I have to thank the live chat for reminding me I needed to turn my mic on because I was doing all kinds of noisy things while I was preparing. So here I am, so I'll do my little intro. Let's hope I get it as well as I did while I was muted. It's your thing. Do what you want to do. I can't tell you who to sock it to. So there, that was the intro. That was muted. It's Saturday night and the bars are open. So we'll have a few bars open. This one, I don't think this will probably be another one of my hour ones at most. Wanted to, I don't know, be a little bit playful, and as I had to rewatch the video last night to remember what I said, and it was interesting to be listening to myself and then following the chat on the side. It was like, oh, well, maybe I should just say a few things, and then when the chat goes into its own chat, I'll join you guys. That way there'll be some, some cohesion. Now, where I have something, was that scene 2? Yeah. I found this today, and of course, I am a lover of wisdom, so that would make me a little bit of, have a philosophical bent. And Socrates was the philosopher who was put to death by the sophists. They're the ones who will, how do you know what wisdom really is? So anyway, here's a little saying of his. The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. I like that. So that, and it also had the word focus, which was a big word last night in my state. So okay, so and also that by keeping it relatively short, like an hour, it won't be going too much into a discussion I guess is going to be had on the Hive tonight about AI. Of course, my definition of AI is a little different. We've been dealing with AI for a long time. Alien intelligence. That's where the confusion really started, when the alien intelligence had priests and a small army with swords. And then we started having lots of confusion, not out loud, and wisdom was squashed. Sophists were less threatening because they didn't pretend to know. They didn't pretend to be Gnostic or have Gnosis. It was the Gnostics who were trouble. Knowing was dangerous. Believing was desirable. So, and I know on a Saturday night there might be less people to be available because maybe they're out in the real world doing real things, and I very much think that's a good idea. But for those of us who were kind of cruising Saturday night, and maybe, waiting for some of the other live streams to go live, I'm going to go a little live, step on a few toes maybe earlier on, but also just be a bar with a different band. So, let me greet some of the people who are here. Daniel Inman, there were a few people who were here at the beginning, I don't know if they're still here, but Daniel Inman and Raksha, Ellie, RC, from Australia, Kalendal, Genevieve, and Meandering Mystic. Meandering Mystic, I really loved the video you did last night. Really, it was very soothing for me after a relatively, I mean, doing the stream was intense in its own way, because it was intense. I'll just leave it there. Personally, to be a part of it, and then whether or not, hello Lisa, and whether or not it was YouTube glitches or whatever, some very strange things were happening in a few threads yesterday. They were scattered about. Happened in the League Project, happened in CW's thread, and it happened towards the end of my live stream last night, where people suddenly, almost the whole community, everybody in the chat had wrenches. Occasionally crowns were showing up, you know, like if I say something, there's a crown there, which means, you know, you're part of the, you know, you have, like, in other words, if two people have access to the same stream, they'll both have crowns. So, but it might have been a YouTube glitch. YouTube is doing a lot of configuring with its algorithms and other things in an attempt to do whatever it is they're doing. I think they have a plan, but it's a lot more dynamic, and than I think they understand it will be. And so they have to keep up with a lot of things. So there could be gremlins in the machine. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody, but I did think I greeted Lisa. So I'm going to take a quick look at the participants. Yeah, a few people who were here early are no longer here. So that's how it goes. Alrighty. So the whole theme is just to be a little bit, or a lot looser tonight. A little Dionysian. You know, we want to keep it. I want to keep it as earth-based as possible in our how we mythologize what we do, because mythos is alive. Anybody who studies mythology usually now goes out of their way to let you know that although in common parlance or modern parlance, myth and like not truth are often conflated, myth often carries some of the deepest truths. So, you know, I adjusted my camera because I saw it was a little bit. Apparently I have to do it even a little bit more. That didn't work. Okay, a little bit higher. Hello MBL, and hello Deborah Gale. So, by the way, what I'm wearing tonight is something that I sewed together in 1988. I'll just stand up a little bit, but it's just a very simple kind of tunic with open arms. I don't know where my sewing kit is, so I have a little bit of a hole there, so I don't wear it out much, but for just presenting forward. And I do have a picture of, I made a black tunic. I guess if I'm going to adjust, this is getting a little bit screwy here. I should probably adjust my camera from where I see it in live time, and now we can see the bat above my head. And I made a black tunic at the same time, which I gave away to somebody. It was a little bit tighter, but I'm going to show you a picture of myself. This has to be like 1988, 1989 maybe, and so I'll give it a moment. I guess I'll kind of jump there when it comes on. We'll all see it. So this is me. I was playing with my band Radagast, and behind me is on keyboard was my third wife. That was Laura, and that's a guitar I've since sold and got a new guitar. That was a Riverhead bass guitar. So yeah, that's me in my the same kind of tunic I'm wearing. That was in black. It was black velvet, and the fact that the velvet was not true cotton, it was a poly blend. I don't like poly, you know, so I found somebody who wasn't as much of a fabric snob as myself, and they were happy to receive it. And he had a very similar build. He was much younger than me, as tall as me, and a little bit thinner than me. And he was exploring his mystic self. So I said, oh, how about this? Something I made by hand in 1988, which I think was before he was born. So, okay, let me get that done. And I actually have a relatively recent photo of me. Let's see. That was done at actually Laura's birthday party. Laura is the one who is, where's that other, I'm pretty sure I loaded it. I guess maybe I didn't. Oh, I know where I put it. There it is. This was at her birthday. I'm going to load it, put it on. And this was at her birthday party. We were doing all copies and Led Zeppelin and other things. This, gee, when was this? I was still at Omega. I think it was in 2014. And that's my current bass. That's my Ibanez bass, which I really enjoy playing. And then, of course, the last bit of vanity is some people may be familiar with an artist called Tori Amos. When I went to see her in upstate New York, I got to go backstage, and I had some magic milk on me, and I'm going to put the picture on. And that's Tori hanging onto my arm there. I had the wisdom to be the last person on the line. I let lots of people go in front of me because I knew that the last person to be with her would be the one who could spend the most time with her. And so in my hand, I'm holding a piece of paper that I think explains the magic milk. But in my hand enclosed is the canister that holds the magic milk. So that's me and Tori Amos in, let's say about 1991-92. Okay, let me get myself back on camera. And here I am now in 2018. As you can see, I had a lot less, my hair was very brown back then. Very, very brown. And now it looks like this, but it's still there. And one of the things I was doing and why my mic was muted is I was tuning my acoustic guitar. I recently got some strings from my acoustic guitar, and I played it a bit. It could use a little more playing. And there's a song called The Ride of Gandalf and ShadowFax that sounds best on acoustic guitar. So I might do that maybe on the way out. Hello, Saroth. It's interesting. It's nice to see things restored. I mean, yesterday it was even on the replay. Well, one of the reasons for the aging gracefully is I've been using the very same magic milk I was giving Tori. It is really a very. Its full name is Rose Restorative Magic Milk, because it has real rose oil in it, and then it also has rosewood, palmarosa. It's very Venus-y. So I think if I did not greet Sarath the Mage, I like the name. Hello. And just let me mute for a second, because nobody wants to hear me clearing my throat. Your stream is saying 22 minutes. Yeah, it's been about 22. I started the stream at just about exactly 9 o'clock, but it started with the background sounds that you're hearing. I should probably turn them down a little bit. Just a little bit. There we go. That's probably better. Maybe even a little bit more. A little bit. There we go. Feedback is welcome on the as far as the sounds in the background. By the way, those are sounds I recorded when I lived in a tent 6 months a year. That was at Omega, and not so upstate New York. What was it? The town will come to me. It's not important, because we were really back in farm country, and it was beautiful there. And I have this on a light loop because there's a one part, I kind of looped it from after the part where I fall asleep. And when I first fall asleep and I was on my back, a little snoring was there, so I try to get that. Hello, Matt Finger, welcome. Yeah, we have just started, because wherever we are in tonight's stream, we're pretty much where we're going to be, which is kind of just gathering a bit. Also kind of cleansing the video, you know, like after the intensity of last night's video, something a little more lighthearted, focused on what I would consider, at least in the States, to be a traditional Saturday night kind of vibe, which is when, you know, that's when the gigs were. I mean, they started on Friday night, but Saturday night was the big night. And so I just kind of wanted it to be, in, you know, that kind of thing. Like right now, this bar's open. This bar will close earlier. It'll close, you know, it'll be closing after the other bar, the Hive, opens. But then there'll be plenty. That bar will be open for a few hours, and there's different flavors, you know, and I did want to, just like from my perspective, from my Gnostic seat, just say AI is more hype than anything, and to me, artificial intelligence is covering for the alien intelligence that is behind its design, and that alien intelligence is, you know, the Demiurge, Jehovah and his angelic mafia, also known as the Archons. It's all, you know, they've been at it for a couple of, you know, for some thousands of years. And now the technology is there again, and so they have etheric woodies for it all, and then that fembot piece of garbage that they so mockingly named, and I'm going to call her Sophia, because that's how you normally would say that name. To name that thing Sophia is, again, the hidden hand. I mean, they know who they have been shitting on for thousands of years. So to take that thing, which, I mean, I remember Walter Winchell, and he had Jerry Mahoney and Knucklehead Smith. And with her bald head, she reminds me of Knucklehead Smith. But Knucklehead Smith was more believable. Sophia, the piece, you know, the archontic, you know, microchip junk box, who's a citizen in Saudi Arabia. I mean, talk about just insanity. And I like to, you know, I'm real careful to call it either the fembot, by it, you know, the name they call it Sophia, which again, you know, that's why that's a name, and that's why in planetary tantra we say the planetary animal's mother's name is Sophia, so it's, you know, different than the common name Sophia, which is spelled sometimes with an F also. But I remember when John Lamb Lash first spoke about the fem junk, that I had said it to other people, and then he comes out and says the same thing, and I guess, you know, because we're kind of getting our intel from the same place, although he certainly has a really potent and clean channel, was that it really seemed like there was somebody with a microphone, that when she was spoken to, that they could speak into a microphone, and then she would say the things that she did. Oh, I screwed up. I said she it, because it's a real piece of shit there. The emphasis on the it and the sounding like shit. Raksha letting out a bellow. So, how is everybody tonight? Hey, CW. Welcome to a Dionysian campfire. No garbage or tires allowed. And hello, Oswald. Yeah, so since I'm an alcoholic and now in, let's see, my 8th year of recovery for the second time, or 8th year of, recovering from being an asshole, I'm drinking ginseng, dissolved ginseng in water. Hello, Mari and Jetpet. And I know I greeted Oswald. I'm feeling a little calm tonight, Oswald, so my Bronx light accent might not be as obvious. It's usually when if I play my guitar and get all jiggy, it'll show up. But I only am thinking of playing one acoustic song, because it was written acoustically. But that'll be towards the end. I'm still kind of getting settled in. I did go out and have my pre-show cigarette, gaze at the ever-growing moon, and of course there are 2 dakinis on shift. And last night I know who accompanied me, and I asked them to share. And if there's any joining with me tonight, that's the more aesthetic Budevi. Okay, I'm getting signals, so I'm going to turn off the notifications in that group, so that way, because I noticed last night when I was hearing the playback, I could hear those notification sounds, and I know when I'm listening to interviews and I hear somebody getting Skype messages, it's like, dude, man, mute that shit. We don't all need to know that you're multitasking. And I make no claims of real ability to multitask. I like, because, like last night, how many times did I use the word focus? For me, focus and multitasking are not really compatible, and I know women supposedly have a greater capacity for multitasking. I won't challenge that. I know, but this man, multitasker, for me, multitasking is how to do 2 things poorly at the same time, or at least not skillfully. Anybody? No, I think I got everybody. I greeted Mari and Jetpet. Oh, a man crush on CW, huh, Matt Finger? You wouldn't be the first to have a man crush on the cuddly CW. So, anybody re-listen to anybody go for a second round of last night's intense stream? Hello, Evan. I probably listened to it. I did one full listen, and then I did it in bits. And, wow. That was partnering up with old Wrathful Green Tara. I really felt it was coherent. The matter of fact, if I were to edit it, I would only. It's because, you know, the metaphors. When we use like everyday metaphors, and then we have the more eternal wisdom aspect of things, things can get a little sloppy. And so, you know, I picked on wolf, you know, as kind of like an adversary, a hungry wolf wishing to hurt the humans. And wolf is teacher. In animal medicine, wolf is teacher. And it's really kind of interesting to, when you get into your true nature head, your Gaian sensibilities, it's really kind of hard to make even the predatory animals villains. I mean, they're predators. You know, that they're part of the balance. And so that was the one thing when I was playing back, I went, oh man, I didn't really I mean, it was a good metaphor. I think a lot of people probably understood the metaphor as I used it. But picking on wolf, no, that wasn't. I would have edited that out if I could have. But what I would have put in its place, I am not sure. I might have just used the word predator, because that's what we're ultimately dealing with: the alien intelligence, the real AI threat, which wants to kind of make itself more real by becoming artificial intelligence. That's been the adversary all along. But you know, so maybe I could have said alien. Maybe alien would have worked. All I know is wolf was unkind. Not to mention, you know, I'm not going to go, once again, this is the Dionysian night, so this is not a heavy night. But the KWP, the Kalika War Party, they are wolves. And I had written something very deep to John Lash, and I read it to Moose. Moose knows what it is. And it is kind of, we're at the kind of place here. Now, bull moose is the planetary totem. The white bull moose. And wolf is teacher, but right now there's some sick animals. That is wolf's job, to make the herd healthy. And once the herd is healthy and that is done, then the moose can stand guard and keep the society, the human species, the anthropos, safe, and wolf can become teacher. And of course the head of right now of the Kalika War Party is John Lash, the Gnostic teacher, or the Gnostic wolf. That's why I'm not a Gnostic teacher. John Lash is a Gnostic teacher, but I can certainly, as a Gnostic, share what I do, and John will have to, you know, deal with what comes with the territory that he's staking out. He knows the territory he's staking out. He knows what he's taking on, and he knows that there'll be a lot of people who will disagree with them, and he knows why, which is I won't go into here. And I can understand why there are certain, you know, there are groups of people who John will certainly ring their bell. I know in my own choice of language, I like to just, when it comes to focus, whatever bad is happening on this planet is being done by criminals. And there are mafias of every nationality and ethnicity and however you want to break down the identification factor of said group of criminals that ends up in being a mafia. I prefer to strip criminals quite naked, where the only clothes they wear are the criminal clothes. They can't be this kind of criminal or that kind of criminal. In other words, there's no emotional triggers on the naked criminal. A criminal is a criminal. And by their criminal fruits, we will know them. And any of the extra stuff, maybe other accoutrement, paraphernalia, titles, identities that allow them to call to other people that self-identify within any group and provide cushion. And I would strip the criminals away of their cushion by simply focusing on criminality, and could give a shit what stripe of criminal they are. And so that's sometimes what happens, is sometimes, some titles, names, identifiers get put on criminals, get put on the predators, and then any group of any identifier that might belong to that group will find they will, because that's part of the plan, to create an identity that isn't criminal, that somehow has like an ethnic or religious or whatever identification, so that others who identify similarly form this in many ways can be a wholesome body, even if it's infected. And I want criminals naked, because then they can't hide. They can't pretend to just be this or that. Oh, you're picking on this group or you're picking on that group. Nobody's picking on groups. We're looking at the criminals. We're looking at criminals. I live in a 25-mile-an-hour zone. Obviously, some people are not so literate. So, John Lamlash does use some identifying language, and I think that certainly has been part of his blowback. And it could be because he might, again, he gets instruction from places, but we're also, we all have to unpack our instruction. And it's, yeah, I like, hello, Seven Serpents. So again, but John is a Gnostic teacher. I am a Gnostic. He's my Gnostic teacher. But I'm into the planetary tantra. The Kalika War Party is, it's a specific calling. But there is something called memetics, meme magic. And I really think a lot of work could be done in meme magic, especially since people have gotten fairly good at the memes. Now, if we could get some focus, take a template of Kali's necklace where she has the heads of criminals adorning that necklace. Well, some up-to-date faces, not severed heads, but faces on where in that kind of iconography, they would be severed heads, but there could be some good meme magic around Kali's necklace. Who's on Kali's necklace? And it'd be focusing, and as we all know, a big discussion is, what black magic are they working against us? It's weak. It's only the only reason it has any effect is it's stronger than no magic. And they work their magic kind of, as a group. Meanwhile, most of the people who might be serious musicians are, busy adjusting their personal reality. Be real different if the plebes, as they refer to the common people, the earthlings, the anthropos, if they got their different kinds of magics together. And I really feel that, some people might not do, shamanic sorcery. But meme magic is so made for the modern time, because many people are quite tech savvy. They know how to use photo editor or GIMP or Photoshop, the real good one. Hello, Robert. And so meme magic is would rattle some of the dark magicians' cages, because suddenly there'd be all these ideas and these images floating around people's minds. Kali's necklace with the head of, the CEO of Nestle's on it or something. And, to me, it's like, I think it could, be personal. Like, who do you think, if you have that kind of skill and you want to do a mock-up of Kali with some fresh faces, we'll keep it a little bit non-triggering. This is non-trigger Saturday. This is Dionysian Saturday. This is like, if it's getting a little intense, maybe we need a little more wine, another hit on the bowl, or another sip of some ginseng. But memes get across the internet, and just even presencing who Kali is to bring back Gaia. It is to bring back the aspects of our mother. Another name for Kali Ma is Bone Mother. Raksha did a very powerful Bone Mother rituals a couple of months back. And it was from the heart, and I know I benefited from it. Yeah, it was good stuff. But I like the idea of memetics and memeing for the people who are kind of tech. Like there's still a lot of people who their smartphone and their computer is the archontic technology that they kind of grew up in. But if it can be very skilled, and little by little, if certain ideas can be introduced into their organic mind, into their hearts, and then get people to play in those arenas with some of the old and original creator beings, things could turn around. I mean, we really could use a good dose and focus of counter magic, because one of the big things, and I'm gonna bring, let me get that Socrates thing on again here. Where is that? There we go. I'm going to bring this up. Okay, this is important. Because what many people are doing is focusing on what is their magic. What is our magic? The secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. And for us as the magical children, the magical child, I'm very much into building new ways and not thinking that we, it's like, oh, what are they doing this and all these symbols and the logos? Yeah, that's their weak magic that works on people who don't practice any kind of magic. And it's up to us to do something about that. Hello, Mutate. Yeah, I noticed that I've listened to Peterson a little bit. Where's my yawn emoji? I like that. Praxis makes perfect. Yes. And for those who might not know, praxis is another way of saying your practice. But praxis is has a little more focused on what that practice is. I guess JPB stands for Jordan Peterson. I mean, there are certain people who, for me, they might be a big yawn, but there is a lot of, there's a lot of people who are, a little bit lost. And so people like Jordan Peterson, I feel, are sometimes good intermediaries. And Jordan Peterson might be one of those intermediaries. And, I mean, before I studied biology, I studied basic science in, 5th grade. Biology didn't come until the 9th grade or the 10th grade. So, there's a place for people like Jordan Peterson. But to me, he's kind of a little bit of a delineator of, are we in the 5th grade or are we in high school? And hopefully we here are at least in high school. So, if I keep this to an hour, I'll be speaking for another 10 minutes. So let me see if the guitar is tuned. Yeah, it sounds pretty nice. So actually, I'm going to go into my live camera because I want to make sure I don't clip. So let me see with a nice little strumming. It looks like it won't clip. So this is a song I wrote at 17. All right, I'm 65. This song's been around for a while. And when I first wrote it, I called it Wind, W-I-N-D. But then I realized it was the ride of Gandalf and ShadowFax. So I kind of played it the other night, and I hope I remember all the parts. There's not a lot of parts, but there are parts. And then, of course, there's the fingering. But this is kind of open mic, and so I hope it'll be enjoyable. I'm going to play it without a pick. My finger will probably hurt at the end of the song, but it's only one song. Yeah, a booger or two in it, but not a couple of more practices and I might actually have that clean. So, the ride of Gandalf and ShadowFax. So, hey, CW, are you planning to do anything tonight? Oh, the cello would be perfect. That, actually, the only thing I would like to add to that are strings and maybe a little bit of brass at the right moment. But actually, my main instrument is the bass, and it's interesting because when I play, I often will use cello kind of lines in my playing when in the higher registers, because the contrabass and the cello do there is like a kind of a middle ground for them, and I think they both use the bass clef, if I recall correctly. I'm not sure if cello has its own clef. Ellie, can you tell me, does cello use the bass clef, or does it have its own clef? I mean, I love cello. Absolutely love cellos. Okay. And so that's one of the reasons why, as a bass player, I allow myself to be a little cello-y sometimes. And Butch Robbins, and Uncle Butchie, the banjo player, and especially the songs he has in one of his 40 Years Late song, which is in a minor key, I play a lot of cello-type lines in there, and he really likes it. Yeah, Ellie corrected. See, I was pretty sure they shared the same clef. It was interesting because when I started off on guitar, and I actually took guitar lessons and was reading guitar music, and then at 14, I wanted to play some rock and roll, and my guitar teacher was not going to take me there. We had worked past Turkey in a Straw and Claire de Lune and gotten on to other stuff, but I had picked up a guitar because I liked the Beatles, and I wasn't getting closer to the Beatles with my guitar teacher. I mean, I'm glad I underwent that. So at 14, I had somebody teach me some bar chords, and then started getting into that, and got in my first band, was rhythm guitar player. Started having little church gigs here and there. Some of it was nepotism because my mother was involved, and so was my father with some of the stuff, but my bands got there and we got paid. And once I started getting paid, I didn't not get paid for playing music for much of my life, and when the pay either stopped or got less to what I was making at 16 years of age, I decided to take a few decades off from music, or a decade or so. But now I'm reapproaching music. First of all, I have found out there are actual muses you can get into relationship with, and they don't yell at you like other beings do, other physical beings. And I'm also sober, and I do have a natural business sense, and I have a sense for the flair. So I'm going to make another stab at things. I'm working with Uncle Butchie. I don't know if I'm going to have my act together to go to open mic night tomorrow night. I was supposed to. Who knows? I might get some work done tonight and be brave enough to go out there and do that. Yeah, it's hand-rolled tobacco. Okay, thank you, CW. Here we go. Here's where it came from. Came from here. I use top rolling paper because you get the most for your money. And I'm not even going to smoke indoors because I'm getting ready to say goodnight shortly. And then I'm going to go outside, have my cigarette, have a nice little conversation with the moon, be thankful for its inspiration. The hive began about 40 minutes ago, unless it started late. I went to Alcoholics Anonymous for 3 meetings, and I realized if I didn't get out of there really quickly, I'd be back to drinking, because that's all they spoke about. To me, I heard a lot of people. It was for I had quit. This was back when I first quit drinking in 1988, and I stayed sober for 13 years until I got married again, and then I started drinking again. During my single years, I didn't even think about drinking. As soon as I hooked up again, it returned. So I went to a few AA meetings. Actually, I had to, and it was, for me, it was dangerous. I had I had just said, I'm done. So that meant not even thinking about it. So I'd go to Alcoholics Anonymous, and they were just talking about their slips and how difficult it was, and I wasn't finding it difficult. So I actually found it dangerous for me to go to AA. I heartily endorse AA. My roommates go to AA. Matter of fact, they just got back from a picnic they had with 40 people that are part of their AA group, and they have a great time, and they really keep each other together. So I think AA is a great thing. I'm an outlier in almost every way, and so AA was not for me. But what what doesn't work for me would mean it would probably work for most people. Yeah, rumors. Yeah. Rumors are what they are, CW. Hearsay. Sometimes true. No question about it, but running with rumors can create hysteria. I mean, it was funny sometimes, there's almost like, there's like a code, do you know Bill W? And so, that's kind of like the Master Mason's shake. It's kind of interesting. And just like, I think there's always a jargon to groups, they're like little tribes of sorts. So anyway, I hope this was a little bit of a Dionysian Saturday, and hello, Doc Illusion. Just a little Dionysian. We had some music, didn't get too serious. Threw around some ideas, like, a little counter magic, memetics, being creative. They want to use their weak magic on us. Well, we got the numbers. Even if our magic is weak, we got numbers, baby. And some of us, it's like if everybody picked up a guitar. Some people might not be able to play at all. Some might be able to play okay. Some people might be brilliant. So pick up guitars, people. Pick up your magical guitars. See what kind of songs you can write. Be bards. The bards kind of use lyrics as counter magic against the rulers. We'll have no Hogwarts around here. Although, certainly Hollywood certainly made it fun. That's what Hollywood does. Makes things look fun. So much fun, it's better than what's real. They have the budget. We would actually have to have freedom to do things like that. And governments do not grant freedom. They take it away. A little, not, okay. Let's not ponder that too much. Have a bowl. If you bowl, say, or meditate. Meditate can really get some good endorphins. Or go over to the hive and see if sophistry can't wet your whistle. Not saying what the moisture provided might be. But anyway, so I'm going to go outside and put my bare feet on what will be a very dewy lawn, light up my organic cigarette, and have some discussions out there. Discussions of gratitude, inspired ones. Gratitude is a big part of it. Big part of it. We have more than we know. So thank you all. Lots of love and compassion for the organism, for the anthropos, and pay attention. Once again, we don't want to be angry with each other. There is a natural anger to being in a world that is. Oh, I wrote something somewhere. I should have saved that. I wrote something actually quite clever tonight, but I don't have. Hello, Brandon, and welcome. But much of the anger inside of us is frustration. Frustration with a world that is just fucking wrong and playing games with the humans, with the human species, with the anthropos. And so rather, understand that frustration will create momentary rages, and all I can say is there are some people on this planet, we'll call them people, they pretend to be people, they have people bodies, and direct our rage. I mean, it is proper. There are people in high places doing things that should outrage us. We should be outraged, and within that outrage is rage. And so just let us realize that very often when we're sniping with each other and having all this infighting, that's because we're enraged and we're not focused. Let's focus. Let us know where the frustrations really are coming from. Who's cramping our style on our planet? Who's limiting freedoms? Who asks for a license when you want to pull a fish out of the water to feed yourself or to amuse yourself? Remember who the adversary is, and when you feel rage, just direct it there. All right, so that's it, and it's time for me to take my, where did I do? Oh, here it is, my hand-rolled organic cigarette. And love and the blessings of our mother upon you all. And who knows when I'm certainly going to be here Monday night. I think I will take tomorrow off. This has been a little bit much, but I had the dakinis are, I mean, they didn't take a second shift for nothing. So that's kind of what this was about. And see you all in the next stream. That's right, I have to stop streaming, and it gives me about 10 seconds before I can finish.